After a tornado destroyed our home, I took my wife and children to my parents' house, begging for shelter. They turned us away, claiming there was no room because my brother was visiting. As I stood on the street, completely broken, a luxury car pulled up. A young millionaire I didn't recognize stepped out and made an offer that would change everything. On that fateful day, a tornado tore through the home my wife and I had spent 10 years building. In despair, I called my parents, trembling, begging to stay with them. They agreed. But when I arrived with my wife and children, the door slammed shut with a cold declaration, "Your brother's here. There's no room for your family." I stood frozen in the street, a man without a home. Just when all hope seemed lost, a luxury car pulled up. A young man stepped out, the homeless boy I'd once helped. Now a millionaire, he whispered, "It's my turn to repay you." My name is Coulter Webb. I live in Wichita, Kansas, a city with little to offer beyond endless fields and sudden winds that can change a life in the blink of an eye. I'm a security guard at a large supermarket, a job that isn't glamorous with a paycheck that's barely enough, but it keeps my small family fed. My wife, Alexis, is a part-time nurse, and we have 2 children. Emma, 8, with a smile as bright as the morning sun, and Randy, 5, a curious boy always up to mischief. We lived in a modest, weathered house, its paint peeling, but it was ours. It was a place I had poured my own sweat into, from the bookshelf in the living room to the wooden fence in the backyard. To me, it was more than a house. It was our world. That day was a warm May afternoon. I had just finished my shift at 4 o'clock, eager to get home. As I drove our old pickup, I thought about fixing up the small garden where Alexis wanted to plant daisies. When I got home, the sound of Emma and Randy's laughter greeted me. Alexis stood at the sink, and when she turned, her gentle smile washed away my fatigue. We chatted about the garden, about life. It felt so simple, I thought I needed nothing more. But everything changed in an instant. I was on the sofa when the tornado siren wailed, louder and more urgent than I'd ever heard it. I shot up, my heart pounding. "Tornado, to the shelter now." I scooped Randy into my arms and grabbed him his hand. The sky outside had turned an inky green-black. We scrambled into our small concrete bunker just as the wind became a monster, roaring and smashing everything above us. We huddled in the darkness, listening to our home being torn apart, the sickening crack of what sounding like the house's bones screaming in agony. When the roaring faded to an eerie silence, I climbed out. Our house was gone. Only rubble remained, splintered wood, broken bricks, and shards of glass. Emma's doll lay alone among the debris. A family photo rested in the dirt, its glass shattered. Our smiles a cruel reminder of what was lost. Randy looked at me, his voice breaking. "Daddy, where's our house?" I knelt and hugged him, but I had no answer. That night, our kind neighbor Susan let us stay with her. As my family slept, I sat awake, staring into the dark, tormented by one question: where do we go tomorrow? The next morning, I thought of my parents. They lived less than 30 minutes away in a spacious house. I rarely asked them for help, knowing I was never their priority, but I had no other choice. My hands trembled as I dialed their number. "Mom," I began, my voice faltering. "Our house, it's gone. Can we stay with you for a while?" There was a long silence before she replied, her voice gentle. "Come home, Coulter. I'll get things ready." Relief washed over me like a warm breeze. On the drive over, a flicker of hope ignited. The kids chattered about their grandparents, and Alexis held my hand, her eyes seeming to say, "It'll be okay." But when we pulled up to the familiar house, a wave of unease hit me. Laughter spilled from inside, the voices of my younger brother, Vincent, and his family. My parents came out, their faces etched with discomfort. "Coulter," my mother said, her voice hesitant. "I'm so sorry, but Vincent and his family just came to visit. The house is full. You'll have to find somewhere else." I froze. Through the open door, I could see the spacious, empty sofa. "Mom," I pleaded, "we could sleep on the sofa in a corner. We don't need much." She shook her head, avoiding my eyes. "Coulter, you know how it is. Vincent and his family need space." My blood ran cold. My father stood behind her, silent. Emma looked at me, confused. "Daddy, don't Grandma and Grandpa want us?" The old wounds of my childhood, of always being second to Vincent, bled anew. I swallowed the bitterness, forced my voice to stay calm, and said, "I understand." But I didn't. I only knew my own parents had rejected us. I led my family back to the truck. The fragile hope I'd clung to snuffed out, leaving a wound deeper than any tornado could inflict. I drove to the only place I could think of, an emergency shelter set up by the Red Cross at the local high school. The gymnasium was a chaotic scene of hundreds of displaced people on thin mattresses. The air was thick with the smell of mold and despair. We found a small corner, but there was no privacy, only the weary, desperate gazes of strangers. The days there were a series of trials, lining up for stale bread and canned beans, breaking up fights over scraps, and guarding our few belongings from thieves. Each night, I lay awake, the memories of my parents' rejection clawing at me. They had chosen Vincent, as they always had, leaving my family stranded. After nearly a week, I returned to the ruins of our home, hoping to find some small piece of our old life. As I sifted through the debris, my fingers closing around a shattered family photo frame. A sleek black luxury car pulled up. A young man in a sharp suit stepped out, his gaze locked on mine. "Coulter," he asked, his voice low but warm. I frowned. "Who are you?" He smiled, a smile both strange and familiar. "I'm Tiago," he said. "You don't remember me, but 7 years ago, you saved my life." And then the memory rushed back. A rainy night, a small, scrawny boy crumpled at our gate, trembling with fever. We had taken him in, given him warm soup and a place to sleep on our sofa. He had left a few days later, leaving only a scribbled note. "Thank you. One day I'll come back to find you. My name is Tiago." "Tiago," I muttered, my voice catching. "Yes," he said, his eyes brimming with emotion. "When I heard about the tornado, I thought of you. If it weren't for you too, I would have died that night. Your kindness gave me hope." He took a deep breath. "After I left, I was eventually taken in by a family. I studied hard, started a tech company. Now, I'm here to repay you." He placed a hand on my shoulder. "I have a luxury apartment downtown. It's vacant, fully furnished. I want you, Alexis, and the kids to move in today. No rent, no waities. Consider it your home." I stood frozen, the offer feeling like a dream. "Tiago," I stammered, "you don't owe me anything." He shook his head. "You don't get it, Coulter. Your kindness was why I didn't give up. You gave me a new start. Now, let me do the same for you. Let me help, not out of pity, but because I see you as family." The word family cut through the walls I'd built around myself. I thought Alexis and the kids in that wretched shelter and my promise to them that we would be okay. A promise I had begun to fear I couldn't keep. "Okay," I whispered, the word trembling with the weight of my exhaustion and a surge of new hope. "Thank you." The 10th floor apartment was bright and spacious, with large windows overlooking the city. Emma and Randy ran inside, squealing with delight. That night, after weeks of chaos, the quiet felt like a healing balm. A few days later, Tiago offered me a job at his company, not as a security guard, but in finance. I laughed at the idea. "Tiago, I'm just a supermarket guard. I never went to college." But he was insistent. "You have something no school can teach: honesty, hard work, and an ability to read people. I'll teach you the rest." Those first weeks were a struggle, but true to his word, Tiago patiently guided me. Slowly, I began to understand. I discovered a knack for spotting small details others missed, an intuition I'd honed catching shoplifters. I started speaking up in meetings, and my confidence grew. I was no longer just a security guard scraping by. I was building a future. For years past, I climbed to a significant role in the company. We bought a spacious house with a wide yard and a daisy garden for Alexis. My family was thriving. But one Saturday, my parents and Vincent appeared at our gate. For 4 years, they had not contacted me once. "Coulter, my dear," my mother exclaimed, her embrace feeling cold. "This house is gorgeous. You've done so well." They peppered me with questions about my job, my salary, and my investments. Vincent couldn't hide his envy. "Families should stick together, help each other out, right?" he said, his tone suggestive. "You got connections. Share a little." I looked into his eyes and saw the same selfishness I'd known since childhood. I stood up, my voice calm but firm. "I value family," I said, "but I've learned family isn't just blood. It's the people who stand by you when you're down, not the ones who show up only when you're up. For years ago, when we lost everything, you chose to turn away. I've rebuilt my life now, and I don't need people who only come for what they can gain." I walked them to the door. As their car disappeared, Alexis hugged me, her eyes full of pride. Standing there, I knew I had made the right choice. My true family was here. The wife who stood by me, the children I adored, and a friend who showed me that the deepest ties are forged not by blood, but by kindness. One spring afternoon, years later, I stood watching Emma, now 12, and Randy playing in the yard. Their laughter echoed through Alexis's garden. Tiago, now a regular presence in our lives, sat with us, a true brother. I thought about the day he found me in the rubble. A small act of kindness, planted 7 years earlier, had grown into a forest of hope that saved us all. The tornado took our house, but it gave me something far greater: the clear, unshakable truth of what family really means.